What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Rican Brothers Raidernation podcast. My name is Nazo, and I have my brother here, Anthony. What's going
on, everybody? What's going on?
Back here for a post-game episode of the really heartbreaking loss to the New York Giants. Traveling to the Meadowlands, and just want to get some knee-jerk reactions from you as far as everything you saw, man.
You know, offense just fell extremely flat this game. That's knee-jerk reaction. I'm gonna just state the obvious. Defense was there, but you know, we've said this before. You can't keep that defense on the field that long and expect them to be able to hold out. You know, it was a well-fought game. However, you know, they came up short, and you know, they had the opportunities to go ahead. Unfortunately, you know, for as great as Derek Carr has played this year, you know, this is, I think, the first off game we've seen him. And when I say off, I mean really off.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's just one of those things where whether they want to say it or not, the absence of Henry Ruggs was definitely evident. You know, it looked like from everything I could see is that, you know, with the deep threat being gone, it definitely was an element of their game that really needed to be there. Just because, you know, I mean, if you have no deep threat, they kind of know what you're going to do as far as how your offense is going to run. And the one thing I will say, the bright side was, man, this rushing attack was actually really good. And I'm still asking myself questions as to why they didn't run more, just because they were so successful with the combination of Drake and Jacobs. And bro, what did you think about some of Jacobs' plays where he's just like throwing people off? Like,
you know, Jacobs honestly was the game that he looked the healthiest to me all year.
Yeah.
I mean, he really was running with that downhill, really aggressive. The stiff arm was in full effect this game. Honestly, the mixing in between him and Kenyon Drake has only benefited the offense since the departure of Gruden. Yeah. And I just think that that's exactly what they needed. Again, sadly, I just can't get over the fact of how Derek Carr played this game. I mean, the rushing game was dominant. And I mean, you needed that offensive uptick for the passing game to get going to really – I think we could have seen it even turned up another level with the running game. But, I mean, come on, man. Like I don't know how – I mean, I know the aggravation is, you know, prominent. And you know, there's some new additions. But, you know, obviously you mentioned Henry Ruggs. You know what I mean? Not being there, you know, that was definitely there was a presence there that, you know, there was like a little looming cloud. But I want to know your take, because for me, I don't believe that even with Henry Ruggs gone, the performance of Derek Carr is really lackluster this game. And I think even, you know, if Ruggs is there, he still has this kind of performance. What are your thoughts?
I think yes and no. The reason why is because even though there's all this, you know, speak about Zay Jones and his connections and, you know, how much, you know, rhythm they have together, Zay Jones doesn't have that breakaway speed. So there were some throws that I saw that if that was Henry Ruggs, he'd be going deeper down because Ruggs would have tracked the ball. I don't think Zay Jones is doing that for us. So the element of speed to take the top off of the defense, I think without that being present, was a big reason why Carr kind of fell a little flat, just in my eyes. And now I know people are going to be like, oh, here comes the collapse. Here comes typical Carr. Listen, if you take your element of creating separation for other players away, you're going to have this type of game, especially when you're not going to the run game as they should have, because the run game was successful. So if Derek Carr throws that pick six, I understand you want to build back his confidence, but at the same token, why don't you run the ball more so you can get him back down the field? And then create those short passes just to keep them going, because the only long passes were to Darren Waller, which we kind of knew that was going to happen, but you can tell the element of the deep threat being taken away was a lot of Derek Carr's woes, just because, I was talking on Twitter with someone about this today. He's not great in the red zone. He's not,
No.
but he can score if he has that deep ball and somebody to take it in the end zone. Two totally different ways to score, but two very critical things that need to be addressed as far as the deep pass element and the red zone efficiency. So I want to run through these real quick here because
I'm interested to talk about the stats.
Well, this is the thing. Okay. And this is what kind of just it really pisses me off, I guess, just because we had 403 total yards of offense to their 245. Okay. So
I know, which is super weird because they were talking about that in the telecast about how the Giants were winning, yet the Raiders were dominating not only time of possession of the ball, but productivity.
Yeah, and this is the thing. We had 24 first downs versus their 16. Now, I mean, 286 passing yards that we had, versus 117 rushing yards.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I mean, dude, between Jacobs and Drake, we combined for 106 yards total. But this is the thing, is our backfield had 15 receptions for 135 yards out of that, 286. So, I mean, you got about 150 yards right there. 100.
I mean, like we talked about it, man. The backs gave you the offense that we were looking for. We said that in last week's in the pregame podcast that we had. We said that we needed at least 75 to 80 yards. Mm-hmm. 50. I think I said something like 60 yards from Drake, 75 to 80.
Yeah, you did.
From Jacobs, and you got that. Yeah, you got that. Often the Derek Carr, to me, lost this game for the Raiders, and I'm not. I want to make something clear, okay?
100%, though. That's true.
I am not abandoning ship on this dude, because that's the way a lot of Raider Nation is. It's like the second this dude has a bad game, it's like, get him out of there. What are we doing? Why are we doing? It's like, shut the fuck up, man. Everybody has a bad day. You wake up, you get out of fucking bed. You know that you can't really produce sometimes. You're really not feeling it. Whatever. This dude might not have we've seen it in many sports. Pitchers come up, your ace comes up. He gives up fucking 7 runs in the first 2 innings because they just don't have the chemistry that day. They don't have the mechanics aligned. There's something just off, right? If we could figure that out, sports would be a completely different animal, right? But he had an off day. Now, this week, you're playing the Chiefs. Is he able to come back? Is he able to get his mechanics aligned? To me, he's a gamer. So this off week, they're going to be, not this off week, but this week preparing, you have new weapons coming in. You have the offense continuing to work. You have Zay Jones continuing to work in the system. Yeah. Can he pick up? Can he do it? But to get back to what you were saying before I went off in that little tangent, your backs gave you everything you needed for a victory that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is the thing is we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trips into the red zone. We scored 1 touchdown, had 3 field goals, a missed field goal, and then that last one was, the strip sack fumble on that blind side. Let's just call it like it is. Colton Miller does not give up many sacks. That was his first sack of the season, and I guarantee he's going to come back and make sure that doesn't happen again, especially going against Kansas City coming up. And again, we'll go over that stuff, but this is the thing, man, is the red zone efficiency has been an issue for the Raiders in the Gruden era. And like I said, now that Rich Bisaccia is the coach, it came back to us this game because, again, once you take away that deep threat, you're not able to throw that 50-yard bomb to Ruggs and have him score. Now you're getting down the field, and when the red zone efficiency comes into play, you're seeing that that's that area we still need to work on. And
Yep.
to my point that I kind of made on Twitter, and I know you like the tweet, is like,
Yeah.
I mean, why not throw in Mariota in that? Because you know he can throw and he can run. So if you have somebody who's a dual threat in the red zone, and I know it's like, well, how are you going to take out Carr in the red zone and just have Mariota do it? Do you want to win? Because if you do, you go to your best players in those situations, which Mariota is ranked, I think, like top 8 in red zone efficiency as far as a quarterback is concerned. So that's maybe that time that maybe that play that they were talking about with Mariota throwing the ball to Carr and catching a fucking touchdown. Maybe you could do something like that. This way Carr doesn't get his feelings hurt for getting taken out in the red zone.
And here's the other thing too, that because you bring up a very good point, right? And I just want to make this point too. Every time Mariota has been in, they know that it's a running play. And I mean, I get it, like that's the package that you bring in. I mean, when they brought him in to pick up the first down against the Giants, they even said he's got 0 passing yards right now, and he's got all rushing yards, right? If you open it up, like you said, where you're bringing him in the red zone, it's not just going to be just for him to run. It's going to be for him to pass. It's going to be for him to be the red zone quarterback. And then, maybe, I'm not saying that there's a quarterback who's perfect because they all have their weaknesses, but perhaps this is something that allows Derek Carr to work a little bit more in his prep for the games of his red zone offense and being more versatile, giving you more play call options, watching from somebody who's more effective in there. Like you said, you have nothing to lose by giving Mariota a shot, just because the fact is that Derek Carr's not doing it. Derek Carr's not doing it. Give Mariota the shot. I 100% agree with you.
Listen, the idea at the end of the game is if you are that team player that you preach that you are and you really are for the team, do you want to win or do you want to go home with your heads hang low?
Yep. No, I agree.
Because in my eyes, it's like, hey, Derek, let's go ahead and substitute Mariota in. And it's a 50-50 shot, whether they're going to run or pass the ball. But it's like, my buddy brought this point up. He's like, yeah, you're paying him $25 million, but you're also paying Mariota $8 million. So allow him to make some plays. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like Mariota just doesn't want to be that running quarterback that, every time he comes in, here comes a Mariota run. Well, when we start surprising people and we start throwing it with Mariota and he makes completions, then what? Then
exactly
for both of them. So it's like, if we have better usage of the personnel we have, I think that helps to eliminate some of those underlying problems. Because if you go back to the Saints, right, with Drew Brees and Taysom Hill didn't only run the ball. He threw the ball as well, and they were really good at it. So if you're going to have that tandem or that duo, why don't you use them as much as you can in as many ways as possible? Because that's hard to game plan for. And it's obviously a struggle of ours. So do you want
to your point with that Taysom Hill, he performed well enough to the point where he was their starting quarterback for many games after Drew Brees retired.
Exactly, man. And that's the thing. You can't have the personnel there and not fully utilize them because you're going to come up short like situations like this. So just kind of like big scope of just the offense. I mean, Josh Jacobs played a hell of a game. I really wish we would have used him more in the red zone because our run grades for our offensive linemen were actually really good. I don't have them up in front of me. If you want to pull those up, I know that Andre James had one of his best games. Alex Leatherwood had one of his best games as far as the run grades are concerned. And all around our top, our starting linemen had the best run grades, out of any game. And the thing is as well as I do, in the NFL, you have to run the hot hand. Like, don't let the hot hand fizzle, because those are the things that are going to keep the morale of your team high. That's what's going to keep the high energy on the sidelines. And it's going to translate over to the defense, which the defense played a hell of a game. I mean, you take away that pick 6 that Derek Carr gave up, they gave up 16 points on defense. Like that was probably one of our best outings on defense. And not only that, they gave Derek Carr multiple opportunities back to back. And listen, at the end of the day, it's on Carr's shoulders. He was the one who single-handedly had 3 turnovers. He had 2 interceptions, 1 for a pick 6, and he had a fumble sack. So, I mean, thankfully, it's not like how it was last year where, you know, the sack fumbles that, you know, were happening with Derek Carr. It was in bunches, and it actually would look terrible at one point.
Yeah.
This is his first one of the year, but I think that's something that this offense needs to learn a little bit more about, as far as like, we live and die with Derek Carr. So when Derek Carr's not doing well, maybe we should lean on the rushing attack a little bit more. Because like you said, with Drake and Jacobs, they did everything we needed them to do.
Yeah. So the numbers for Josh Jacobs this week was 13 attempts, 76 yards, 5.8 per. He had a 14. His long was 14 yards.
And that's runs, right?
Yep. That's strictly rushing. Now in the receiving part, he had 4 receptions for 19 yards, 4.8 average with a long of 8 yards.
Still.
So the dude still gave you very close.
Every 2
knocking on the door of 100 yards of total offense.
Yeah, every
the
2
guy,
first down. So I mean, that's what you want, right?
Yeah.
Did you see what Drake's numbers are?
Yeah, I can pull those up. That's not a problem. Yeah, I got him right here. Here we go. Kenyon Drake. Let's see here. Kenyon Drake. For this week, he had 4 rushing attempts for 30 yards, 7.5 average, along at 21. Now, receiving wise, he had 6 receptions for 70 yards, 11.7 average with a 22-yard long. You know, I mean, if you want to talk about balling out, you know, this is exactly what you want from your backs, like we were talking about. Typically, you brought Drake in to lighten the load on Josh Jacobs. In my opinion, I would prefer to have Drake catching the ball a little bit more than Jacobs himself.
Absolutely.
Just because he gets a little bit more creative. To me, Josh Jacobs is a bruiser back. He looks for that contact sometimes, and he got plenty of it this week, and he showed the reason why. He can run after the ball. He continues to keep going. But I mean, again, if we're going to talk about people who did fantastic, you got to talk about the defense who played absolutely fantastic. I think they had a great game despite what the score was. And then, I mean, the other thing is that you got to compliment the running game. The running backs, your backfield ultimately was your entire offense, because, I mean, your wide receivers can't really do much. They went for a couple of home run balls, didn't really end up getting anything, which is sad. I still think, you know, this is just my personal opinion. I just think that even if Ruggs was in there, or somebody who was already had been there from week 1, I think they still would have probably had that performance, unless you have, you know, a game changer. They haven't really used Ruggs to his potential anyway. I think that was just as a result of the Gruden system that he was playing. But certainly it looked like it was on the up and up with this new offense that they've been getting into.
Yeah, and so this is what I wanted to pull up here, because Andre James had a PFF grade of 83.1 against the Giants, which is one of his best.
Okay.
You know, Derek Carr did not do well at all. I mean, he had a PFF grade of 43.9, which is understandable. Yeah. And, you know, the red zone efficiency was just terrible. You know, you're talking about getting in, you know, 6 times, right?
Yeah.
6 times, and you only score once. John Simpson, again, had a 77.8 run blocking grade. Jonathan Abram did get burned. You know, he actually had, let's see here. I can't see. So he had a total of 8 tackles, but he missed 2, and his average depth of tackle was 6.3 yards. And then he allowed 4 completions on 4 targets for 44 yards, including the 30-yard touchdown. So, I mean, that was like defensively, but I mean, if you look at it, Simpson, Andre James, and Leatherwood had some of their best outings for, offensive run grades. And that should tell you, I'm going to run with our strongest, group moving forward, because that's the one thing that I guess I can say is the inexperience of Bisaccia with the coaching staff with Olsen.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're in the red zone and you're obviously having to settle for 1, 2, 3 field goals, right? You need to switch to whatever your strongest attack is, which in that case was the running attack. And maybe we don't get that missed field goal. Maybe we're able to, play 4-down territory. And that's the thing is I would have played 4-down territory rather than going for that missed field goal, because the way that the defense was playing, I bet that they could have done something more and just helped us out with putting us in a better position, because dude, the defense was firing on all cylinders. And
they were, but the thing is, like I told you, if your offense is not producing and your defense continues to keep going out there, they're gonna get tired. And that's exactly what happened. The war of attrition came up, and your offensive leader dropped the ball. Like Derek Carr dropped the ball.
Right? You're spitting off those averages and it tells a story. So the story is you're either throwing off these screen passes and allowing your linemen to lead the charge, or you're running, which as far as your averages, and we're talking about statistical numbers here, they're favored to being in your favor because of the yards per run and per catch. So that's what I'm saying is it almost like you have to dial it up to a numbers game at some point where it's like, I'm going to play the probability here to go in my favor, if that's what you're trying to do, because at the end of the day, the defense was playing great. And if Derek Carr isn't firing on all cylinders and he's doing this, then you have to go with something outside of passing, which is running. And even if it's a screen, I don't care about Derek Carr's feelings when it comes to a win, to be honest with you. That's our
you're right.
Win, baby. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't care how he feels. It just comes down to what are we going to lean on to get the most productivity so we can get the points on the board, because we only lost by 1 touchdown again. It was 23-16. The Raiders did take the L. This is the one thing I will say, all right, before we switch over to the defense here is
sure.
The Chargers are 5-3. The Raiders are 5-3. Chargers are at the top of the division because they beat us. If you're going off that, the Chiefs and Broncos are both 5-4. We absolutely have to flip the switch this upcoming game and beat the Chiefs, because not only will it give us a divisional win, it'll put us at that 6-win mark. It'll get us that much closer to, the end goal, which is the playoffs. Because right now we lost to the Chargers, which it hurts, but we'll play them again. And I think it's going to be a little bit different. And, in addition, we're also going to not have to worry about the Giants and Bears, because those are the other 2 losses, which the Bears, it is what it is. I mean, the Steelers almost lost to them, but it was a very different story when we played them because there was some other things that were going on. But I mean, we're still sitting good. So to hit the panic button and just say, just to scrap it all, we're not there yet. We're at the
I agree.
mark. We still have some folks on the IR. And man, before we actually get into the defensive stats, because I mean, if you could pull that up, I really got to tell you, man, I'm sad because finding out that Darius Philon going to the IR today, it just made me sad, bro, because he got a fumble recovery. This is the kind of impact this guy has. He's always around the ball. He's making plays. He's a good run stopper. He's not the best run stopper, but he is a run stopper on there. And he had 2 sacks. So, he definitely contributes from that defensive tackle position. So I think that is going to be a loss for us. And we did elevate Kendall Vickers from the practice squad up to the active roster with him going on to IR. And it just sucks, man, because that's 3 games that he's gone. And, if you look at the next games that we have the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. Then we play against the Bengals, who it looks like they're like a big toss up as far as how they're playing.
Yeah, they're hit and miss right now, but early in the year they were hot.
So and then the Cowboys, which is on Thanksgiving. So he could come back if everything's good with the ankle, because we have Kwiatkowski and Keyshawn Nixon, who are also dealing with ankle injuries. Darius Philon could come back for that Washington football team matchup. So if we win 3 out of the next 4, I think we'll be sitting in a good position moving forward. We'll be at 8-4. And I think, with going into the last couple games after 12 weeks, I think those last 5 games, if we come out 3-2 and we come out 11-6, I think that's good enough to make the playoffs. So I don't know, man. It just kind of made me sad because, with Yannick Ngakoue getting that sack fumble, and Darius Philon getting the fumble recovery, I'm like, there's my boy. There he is right there. He's in on another play. And it's like, now he's gone, which Kendall Vickers, I mean, he's not as good as Darius Philon, but I think in Gus Bradley's system, he'll serve his purpose. I don't know if he's going to play as much because I can definitely see Solomon Thomas's snaps going up. What did you like about the defense, though, in this game? And who were your standouts? Because the one guy I know, just to kind of, before we move on, I was incorrect on my predictions of Drake and Jacobs getting a touchdown. I predicted Jacobs getting a rushing touchdown, Drake getting a passing touchdown. I was correct as far as their yardage is concerned.
Yes.
And Darren Waller, I was also correct about his yardage, 7 receptions for 92 yards. I said he was going to have 80 yards, but I did say he was going to have a touchdown. So I was wrong as far as the touchdown portion. And then Renfro, I was right in there as far as him having a touchdown. He had a little bit less yardage than I thought.
Yeah.
But Brian Edwards shit the bed, and I'm not really happy with the inconsistency with him.
Yeah.
I
picked Brian Edwards. To have a game this week. They targeted him 4 times. I believe he had no catches.
Yeah, no catches.
No nothing. Yeah, he really looked lost in the offense this week. Again, I think you were saying that Zay Jones, they targeted him 4 times. He had a catch for 20 yards, which, wasn't bad. Again, the hot man that they went after was Darren Waller with 11 targets, 92 yards. Kenyon Drake had 8 with 70. And then again, you were talking about Hunter Renfro. He had 9 catches for 49 yards. 9 targets, 7 catches for 49 yards. But the Darius Philon recovery of the fumble was great. Levitt also had a fumble recovery as well.
Yep.
Dallin
Levitt, like, it's just crazy to me because, like, in Raider Nation, and this is us wholeheartedly, we really don't care much for the guy, but he shows up sometimes and you just can't deny it. Because like you said, he had a fumble recovery. So it's like, can you get mad at that? Like,
no.
That's ball awareness on the field. And
no, absolutely. And I mean, you got to give the man his due. You know what I mean? Exactly. Denzel Perryman again led the team in tackles, of course. You know what I mean? Followed by John Abram, Fakeson also as well. KJ Wright was definitely more involved in this game.
He was.
Your man Trayvon Morgan was definitely involved. And let's not forget about Nate Hobbs, man. You've been talking about Nate Hobbs. This rookie's been coming out, dude. He's been showing out. And him, along with your prediction of Yannick Ngakoue, who did get those 2 sacks, and he probably could have had the opportunity to have another one later on in the game because he had 2 sacks, I believe, in the first half. But then Nate Hobbs also got a sack as well. So, I mean, defensively, they really came out to play. Like I said, you really had contributions across the board. Quentin Jefferson was in there. You saw some key plays by Carl Nassib. I mean, people were really all playing really well defensively. The people that I look at that really showed out this game, like I was going to say, is, KJ Wright had a great game. You and I had talked about it previously that he really hasn't had the impact that he that we thought that he would. But I think maybe now he's getting familiar with the defensive system and, where he's playing, how he figures out into that. And then again, Nate Hobbs, man. Nate Hobbs is an every week guy who's in there, who's always contributing. I'll let you speak on because it was your prediction of the defensive ends and the defensive line. But for me, like I said, those guys to me set the tone because the defensive line, like I said, I'll let you talk on it, but I thought that they were dominant. The offensive line was struggling. The Giants' offensive line was struggling to keep up with them all game long.
I'll tell you what, man. I was disappointed in Max's ability to get to the quarterback on passing plays, but he damn well made up for it on running plays because he was in there and he was causing some stuff to happen as far as in the backfield, especially because there were a couple plays where I saw him and Nate Hobbs getting in on plays for running plays. I saw him and Perryman getting in there on running plays. And the thing is with Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue, I know it's kind of either or. I'd like to see a game where both of them come into it and get at least 1.5 sacks apiece because they're always racing to the quarterback. And I know that with Yannick Ngakoue, he did everything that I expected him to do in that game. Carl Nassib needs to get in more because the dude does create some problems and he has this leverage because he's so damn big. Isn't he 6'7"? Am I mistaken?
Yeah, let me take a look at it. I can get that for you real quick. Go ahead. Finish that thought.
7, but the extension that he gets on the tackles that he goes against, it causes problems because it makes it hard for the visibility of the quarterbacks when they're getting their linemen pushed into him because he's a strong dude.
6'7", 275.
That's what I'm saying. He's a strong dude and he's tall and lengthy. And I think with Yannick Ngakoue and Max Crosby coming in, because I don't know if you saw, they lined up both of them on one side a couple times. And it was bad. Just imagine with you putting that down to one tackle or even running like a 5-2 to where you have Hankins and Jefferson in there with Nassib on the other side. That causes a lot of problems if you're having Yannick and Max on one side and then Nassib on the other with 2 defensive tackles. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, you have your best rushers on the defensive end spots. And from what I saw against the Giants, that causes a lot of matchup problems because they were on the field a lot more than I even expected. And the thing is our linebackers are starting to play better. I can tell. And it's because of that upfront push. KJ Wright is predominantly going to be in there on run plays. That's it. Denzel Perryman, he can't cover in pass coverage. So I think that's an opportunity for us to maybe give Divine Diablo, who is a former strong safety, some time. Especially because he's big too. He's 6'4". So I think him, as far as those passing plays, just having him sub out for those. But the thing is then you also go ahead and have the, opportunity for the offense where they can go ahead and audible out of it. And then they're doing a run play and then you have Divine Diablo in there and he's not the best run stopper. So it's kind of a twofold thing. I think with the defense this past game, though, we played great. And on the back end, some mistakes, very minor, but nothing big, like that Kenny Golladay catch for 30 yards. That was on Abram. That was a terrible angle.
Yep.
And he didn't track the ball. Let's just say that. That's the nicest way to say it. He didn't track the ball because he should have been able to make a play on it. And I don't know if he slipped or like if he was off balance or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, what did you get from it? Because I feel like the front four played an outstanding game and it showed with the linebacking play. I think on the back end, there was just a couple minor issues.
Yeah. So, I mean, I saw a lot of disruption by Max Crosby. I think that the standout person, like you called it already, was going to be Yannick Ngakoue. He was all over the place, and he really played a great game. I'm not going to toot my own horn, but Corey Littleton has been playing great as well.
Yes.
Honestly, the contributions of the defensive squad has been good. I like the idea with bringing the safety in. Diablo needs to have opportunities. because this is a guy who's a speed demon who could hit. Now, he doesn't hit with the power that Abram does. I'll tell you that, okay? He doesn't hit like that. But, I mean, this kid needs more involvement in the defense because this could be a guy, like you said, that you could chip down and that could possibly, you know, contribute and really do big things for you.
Yeah, and the thing is, for me, is when you look at our line, we have kind of that rotation that we do with the tackles and the ends and so on. And I think moving forward, once we see Malcolm Kuntz, because Mike Mayock said that we are going to actually see Malcolm Kuntz, which that's a guy, again, that I've talked to you about that I really want to see because he's kind of like a mini version of Yannick Ngakoue, and they brought him in so he can learn from Yannick. So that excites me in his abilities, especially what he did in college. And the thing is, if we get Malcolm Kuntz in there, because Cleveland Ferrell hasn't really done anything when he's came in, and I think he has like a little over 100 snaps for the whole year, somewhere upwards of like 115, 119 snaps, somewhere along that line. But you have Carl Nassib who's productive. You have Yannick Ngakoue is productive. Max Crosby is productive. If we get an additional defensive end who's productive, who's young, because he's a rookie right now.
Yeah.
We have that defensive tackle position kind of sealed up with Hankins and Jefferson. And then now you're probably going to see Solomon Thomas and Damian Square now that Philon's out. And then Vickers will kind of rotate with those guys, you know, on who's playing the best. That's who's going to get more reps. That could be the making, as you know, one of the best defensive end groups that we've had in a long time.
I agree with you,
because Malcolm Kuntz is bendy and he's fast, and he gets to the quarterback. That's what he does, and he did it a lot in college. Now, again, I'm not saying he's Khalil Mack because he's not, but he comes from the same school as Khalil Mack.
Yeah, so exactly.
A good foundation of who to study and how to perfect his craft, which he's made it to the NFL, and he was a 3rd-round pick, so he obviously has some juice. I know that we draft a little bit higher than, you know, guys are actually graded out, but Malcolm Kuntz was a 3rd-round draft grade, you know, as per Daniel Jeremiah. So that's somebody who I'm excited to see, and I think it will really help out the defense a lot. I'm not really sure where I was going with this point, but as far as up front with losing Darius Philon, I think with Damian Square being kind of that plug guy, and then with Vickers in there as well, the big focus moving forward is the rush attack of the offenses. Because you saw what they did against the Giants. I mean, when we played the Giants, we played pretty damn good. Now, the only thing I will say is we still gave up 149 rushing yards. And going back to what Yannick Ngakoue said, I think it was right, you know, on the bye week, we need to be better about outside contain, because Daniel Jones had some runs and he extended plays, and that's something that's going to be another area of focus coming to this week of the Chiefs. So my question for you is, now with Kwiatkowski being out, you have Perryman, Littleton, KJ Wright, Divine Diablo is going to have to step in.
Yep.
And I believe Markel Lee was on the roster as far as the active roster. Who do you see kind of stepping up in the linebacking role, you know, with the way that they played this week?
As far as the way that who played this week, who is going to continue to now, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't Nicholas Moreau supposed to be coming back off the IR?
Correct. However, he's not ready yet. So I think
okay.
Right now.
So that would have been my initial. I would like to see that happen. You're right. Markel Lee is active with Kwiatkowski essentially probably not going to play. You're going to need Perriman, Littleton, and Diablo to really, you know, rein it in. You have Nate Hobbs out there.
I'm talking about the linebacking position.
No. I know. But what I'm saying is that your corners can drop down as well and help out on the inside. But As far as what you have available on the lineup now, I think, my opinion, you're going to have to activate somebody from the practice squad. You're going to have to elevate somebody. And yeah, that's going to need to be where it's at, because what you have now is a recipe for disaster to have one of your key guys who's been contributing for 8 games so far in the season have the who if you continue to keep playing them the way that you're playing them, you could see them possibly get run down, get an injury, and now you're in deep trouble. I think you need to elevate somebody from your practice squad.
And my next question was going to be, so Javen White, now he is only been in the league 1 year, so
yeah, I was
young. He's 6'2", 211, so he's kind of like one of those strong safety converted to linebacker cats. He's on our practice squad right now. So do you see us elevating him and him stepping into that role, since now we're a little bit thinner at linebacker? And keep in mind, he runs a 4.40. So, I mean, the guy would be an element to insert as far as like the coverage is concerned. Maybe not as good with his running defense, but throughout preseason, I don't know if you saw preseason for the Raiders, but he was kind of everywhere. He was like the Nate Hobbs in the linebacking core in preseason.
Yeah. I think that's basically the only thing that you really can do right now. Aside from sign somebody and put them on your practice squad, similar to, what happened with the Titans. You had Derrick Henry go down, and right away they just signed, Adrian Peterson, and then, he's basically in with the team a week, and then you throw him on the squad. You know what I mean? I'm trying to look to see who available linebackers are right now.
So keep in mind now, so we have Patrick Onwuzar as one of the linebackers on our practice squad, along with Javen White. So those would be your 2 linebackers that you have, and then Markel Lee got elevated up. Now he's kind of more of a special teams guy, but I feel like maybe Gus Bradley may see something in him just because of his stature, as far as like his size. But if I'm looking at this right, let's see here. We got Markel Lee is 6'3", 235. So, I mean, he's pretty much like your prototype, linebacker as far as that's concerned. But he only played in, as far as what I see, is the Pittsburgh game, which they won. And he had 1 solo tackle and 2 assists. So, I mean, it's interesting to see how that'll play out, because it's almost like we have to have Nicholas Morrow back. But if Javen White's available, I'm telling you, man, this kid can play. He's fast. And I think that may be something that could spark the linebacking unit, as far as having somebody who can play fast and be in coverage, because that's I think one of those things where we know that the opportunity is in the rush defense of the linebacking core, especially, but in coverage is something that we really need, that size and that quickness.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to find right now, while you were just talking, available linebackers, and there's a couple of guys who, what
do you got? Throw it out there.
Nothing that looks great. Let's put it that way. Nothing that really looks that good. Oh man, yeah. I mean, honestly, I saw a name that popped up, and I don't know how you feel about this, but what do you think it would have taken for the Raiders to pull off the deal for Von Miller?
I mean, he's only getting paid $700,000. So I don't see why we.
Well, that's why I was saying. Do you think that you had the draft capital? What was the reason you weren't able to try and acquire him? Do you think he would have fit into the system?
They would this given him within the division? That's never going to happen. You're never.
Yeah, you're right.
Star player within the division, because now he's in the NFC. the NFC West, right? If I'm not mistaken,
Yep.
the Rams, 49ers, Cardinals, and Seahawks, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah. So that's why. I mean, you're switching conferences. You don't have to see him, and they would never do that. That would be like, the Chiefs giving up one of their players to the Raiders. It's just not going to happen because they don't want to bolster your roster. And the thing is yes, we would have had the money. Yes, we would have given up the draft capital. No, the availability wouldn't have come just because they're not going to help us out. Like it's just, I mean, it's tough pickings, it is what it is. But now, if Nicholas Morrow comes back,
Okay.
that immediately makes that linebacking core a whole lot better. Because
I mean, I don't think that you're in a state of mind right now that you really need to hit the panic button, like you said before. But I think that it's something that you really need to be, mindful of, is to be able to go out there. You're gonna have to elevate this kid from the practice squad, right? You're gonna have to bring him on. You're gonna have to activate him for this game in case there's an injury because you don't have enough bodies that are linebackers, right? And then, like you said, maybe the following week, or you're able to get some of your linebacking staff back.
Yeah, and right now Kwiatkowski's not on IR. Only
No, he's questionable.
Pylon he's questionable. So I mean, we'll see what happens, but
that might just be one of those things that they know he's going to sit out a few weeks, and they don't want to put him on the IR because he might be back before the 3 weeks that normally you have to keep them out for if you put them on the injured reserve.
Yeah, absolutely. So just with those linebackers being covered, I mean, I think they did a good job. Like you said, Corey Littleton, I think, is a rising star in the defense, and he's been playing a hell of a lot better. I think Denzel Perryman has been kind of one of those guys to help bring him along with KJ Wright, because of those veterans, especially in this defense. Overall, I really do think that, the defense did play well. What did you think about the secondary?
When we needed it, let's put it this way: when we needed it, they did not hold it down, and that was disappointing. You had quite a few of the same names that continue to keep showing up. I know your man Trayvon Morgan. You continue to keep talking about him. He keeps playing great every week. Abram was there. He's playing. He's leading that squad. I mean, you have guys that are there. Hayward's around the ball always. I just think that, they got beat when they needed it. You know what I mean? Like when you needed key stops. And again, I don't attribute it to them blowing coverages. I just attribute it to being tired. Like you're on the field that much. You need a break.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. I just think that with the defense, the way that they were playing, I think there were some drives where they were a little lackluster.
Mm-hmm.
And they came alive. They had like these first two down burst plays where they really got stuff done. But the secondary, again, gave up, a third down conversion, or they made a catch in space. And then here you are, we're giving up the third down on like a 3rd and 7 or a 3rd and 8.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't happen. Those mental breakdowns can't happen. So, this is what I believe. And I believe Desmond Truffant needs to get a little bit more playing time, because I know Casey Hayward is the veteran leader back there, but I think Desmond Truffant is equally as strong as a veteran presence as you need back there. Especially with even just giving someone some breathers, just so you have fresh legs in there. I mean, Faison was giving up some stuff, and he did make some good plays as well. But, I like Nate Hobbs he's outperformed his expectations this year.
Oh, easily. Oh, that's 100%. I mean, come on.
So on the other side, Abram, he had a mental breakdown this game. I mean, that's the only thing I could say. And I'm not, picking on him as a player. I'm saying this one individual game stands out as a poor performance game.
Yeah.
And it showed, because not only did he give up the only touchdown, they were 4 for 4 with 152 QBR against him specifically. So that tells you he didn't play up to expectations. Now, if they were 2 of 4 and maybe like an 80 QBR, I wouldn't be as mad. But the thing is, I mean, he gave up critical catches and he did make up for it in some of the running plays and being in on some plays on defense to make some stops. But listen, this was one game that he fell off a little bit, and it showed on the defense, especially on the back, you know. So just moving forward, what do you see as something that kind of needs to be focused on for, you know, that secondary unit? And I may have just dropped you a hint on what it was, but I want to know from your eyes what you see. What's kind of going to be like a focal point where it's like, hey, this secondary needs to step up in this area if they want to be consistent with putting up these good performances?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think you hit the nail on the head with Desmond Truffant, right? I mean, Desmond Truffant is a guy who has had success in the NFL. He's a guy who can be a character on your defense. When you have these mental lapses, like you said, Jonathan Abram did this game, you know, he's one of those guys who come in and he can be a contributor. Now, if the guy's not on the field and he's not contributing and he's not playing, how can he contribute? How can he add to that chemistry? How can he shut down? I think that's something that they really need to focus on is that they need to really intermix, get a nice substitution game going where all the guys are intermixing. They're all helping each other out. If you're seeing a guy's getting beat, you know, be able to identify that early. You got guys up in the box that are getting paid to look down on the field and see what's going on, what coverages are coming on, and what your players are missing.
Yeah.
I just think the lack of communication for the secondary this week was poor. I think overall, like I said, my disappointment came when you said it perfectly. 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8. You have them basically off the field, and then you give up like a 14-yard passing play. And it's like, come on, man. Like, dude, like this is, you know, I mean, they weren't throwing anything spectacular. They weren't doing anything crazy. It was just that they're wide open. And of all things, I even commented that, you know, Evan Ingram wasn't going to have a good game because he hasn't really showed up. And what does this man do? He shows up this game and essentially, you know, went unguarded many of the plays. And that's a guy you have to identify. Because your other key players are out. You know, I mean, I know he hasn't showed up and I talked a lot of shit, but I mean, the thing is he's still a name who can be a threat, and they didn't pay attention. So going forward, it's really having that cohesive unit, being able to identify, like you said, on the offense, but also on the defense, who's the hot hand, who's the shutdown, who can I switch up, what matchup will benefit me. You know, and make those adjustments, make that, you know, continue to preach the communication and go from there. That's what I look for in the next game, because you're absolutely going to need everybody on their A+ game. Okay. You're going to need everybody on their shit this week. This week is the week we need everybody to pull the head out of their ass, go 100%. And then if you need to have a fucking brain fog the week after, hey, so be it. But this week we need everybody all hands on deck, ready to go.
Yeah, and this is the thing, okay, is Kadarius Toney only had 1 catch, so we did something right. So I don't want to like speak ill on the secondary unit. It's just down and distance in situational football is something that it's almost lackadaisical at times for the Raiders defense, what keeps them on the field. So that's the thing where I'm just like, that's Gus Bradley's job to address. That's not anyone else's job to address. Then, because Rod Marinelli's guys, I don't know if you've seen it, but Rod Marinelli's guys are playing. And maybe that's even Ron Milas's job to be like, hey, listen, down and distance and situational football, when we're in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 8, whatever the case may be, you're playing that first down marker. If they want to go over the top, we're going to let Trayvon go ahead and play them because he does have the speed to close in on, and he does have good coverage skills. So I think what we did well in some areas where we were able to blitz, like you said, Nate Hobbs, I was happy to see that because that was, you know, great and it paid off dividends. And it's just, you need to do a little bit extra tweaking when you have games like Derek Carr did, because again, I'm going to put this loss on him because, again, he had
Yep.
three turnovers by Derek Carr, 2 interceptions, 1 for a pick six, and then, the one, obviously it's sack fumble, but it's just one of those things where it's like we need to start being able to overcome a little bit of that adversity in game because we got so much adversity outside of the game that's just like, that situational football really comes back to haunt us, especially on those third downs. So I think that's going to be a focal point moving forward. I think Gus Bradley recognizes that. But any last thoughts on the defense? Because I just kind of want to go over some of the news that happened with the Raiders here recently.
No, I'm good.
Okay. So the big, I guess the best thing that came out of this week, even though we took a L, was we picked up Desean Jackson. His speed element and just his veteran presence on the wide receiving core and his ability to track the ball, I think is going to be huge for us just because the guy still can fly, man. I remember I sent you that thing and you thought I was lying when it was like over 10 miles an hour, but the dude still can fly. And, that's what I like about the press conference today because, we're recording this on Wednesday, November 10th. We kind of waited a little bit longer than usual just because I wanted some news to come out just to kind of give extra than just the post game. What do you think that Desean Jackson is going to do for this offense? And then, you can pass it back to me and I'll kind of give you my 2 cents on it as well.
So here's the thing with Desean Jackson's going to bring. The dude has had success pretty much everywhere he's gone, with the exception of when he was with the Rams. Now, he had a few breakout plays with the Rams, which is fine. I think that what they brought him in for is the same thing that the Raiders brought him in for. Now, the Raiders brought him in because he is a speed demon, but make no mistake about it. You also have 2 very young wide receivers who need that veteran presence. You need that education. And, that's something that you'll see a lot of guys do before the game is they'll go and they'll talk to Randy Moss. They'll go talk to all these analysts that basically they're picking their brains. They're getting information. They want to know what they see, how they can benefit. Yeah. I see Desean not only contributing from the speed element, but also helping Brian Edwards and Zay Jones develop their game a little bit more, make them a little bit more polished, so that as a wide receiving core, now you're not just looking at Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow in key situations. These guys will learn, they'll add to their little toolbox, and in situations where you need a big play, you can go to them. You can go to them and they can be assisting Derek Carr and giving him multiple looks where they'll be able to be open. What is your take on that?
Man, so I don't know if you heard today Desean Jackson's presser, but my eyes lit up when he mentioned the name Nelson Agholor, because people thought Nelson Agholor wasn't really much than just a speedy guy from USC. He pretty much dropped the ball a lot, right? What did he do when he came here? Derek Carr got that man paid. He was literally the best deep threat. Henry Ruggs was almost non-existent as far as the deep threat. He mentioned it himself. He was like, I talked to Nelson Agholor. He's like, we're friends. And I asked him about, coming here. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being just like Nelson Agholor, being that deep threat over the top and opening it up, because just imagine, and I don't want this to be like a fictitious moment where it's like once upon a time, imagine what but imagine this defense on last year's explosive offense, right?
Oh man, yeah.
So the thing is take out Nelson Agholor and insert Desean Jackson. I believe wholeheartedly, and I feel really bad about what happened with the Henry Ruggs situation. I feel like with Desean Jackson, we're getting a veteran version of Henry Ruggs who can track the ball better and who can create space better because he's in tune with his experience on how to read the defenders. I'm not saying he's going to just straight line burn him, but he has certain moves that he does in his routes that allows him that extended separation. And I hate to tell you, but Nelson Aguilar did that great. And that's why Derek Carr was always able to hit him on those long balls. I know there was a couple plays last year that you saw where Nelson Aguilar caught it like 30, 40 yards down the field, and then he's zigzagging for a touchdown for an extra 20 yards.
Oh, yeah.
That's what Desean Jackson has the ability to do. And again, to your point, Desean Jackson takes that over the top, or he has those long routes that, you know, he can get hit on. What happens to Darren Waller? What happens to Hunter Renfrow? What happens to the screen pass now? You have all those elements of your offense open up more, and it just spreads the field. And I think with a West Coast offense, you have to have that, because look what happened to the Giants. I mean, you could see how much we missed the deep threat.
So I just want to throw a couple of stats at you about Desean Jackson.
Please do. I'm here for it.
Last time he had over 500 yards receiving was in 2018, when he was with Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm. Winston was his quarterback too. So
say that again.
Jameis Winston was his quarterback too.
Correct. So I want to just throw these few stats at you.
Mm-hmm.
Since 2017, that was the lowest year since he's been in the league since 2008. 2017 was the only year that his longest touchdown reception was 41 yards. Every other touchdown that he has received is a 50-yard or more reception with, as I look at it right now, 1, 2, 3, 4 over 70-yard touchdowns, and this year had a 75-yard touchdown reception against defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, with that being said, and just complimenting what you said about being the deep threat, this man possesses those tools to be able to go deep and take it very far, very quick.
Yeah, and this is the thing I don't understand, people. If you are a deep threat in the NFL and people literally know you for this is your signature, and the man still has his speed, for you to say that he's washed and he's not going to do it, that's disrespectful. To me, that's the ultimate disrespect. When I could have sworn you said it, but does he not have the most 75-yard touchdowns in the NFL?
I mean, from what I'm looking at, it looks like it.
So is that not?
And I mean, if we look at it since 2018 as well, his targets have diminished significantly. 2018, he had 74 targets. 2018. 2019, 10 targets. 2020, 26 targets. 2021 so far, he's had 15 targets.
Yeah.
So he also played in less games, 3 in 2019, 5 in 2020. He's already played in every game here in 2021. What that might tell you is that over the last 3 years, he hasn't been on the field much, but he still has a lot in the tank.
When he's on the field, what happens?
Yeah.
That's the question. And the thing is people need to get excited for Desean Jackson because he fit in this offense perfectly. Now, I know people want OBJ, and I'm not even going to get into it because OBJ is not going to come to us. I just have a feeling he's going to the Saints. He's going to go back to NOLA. He's going to go back where his roots are in LSU. I think they're going to be able to give him the best deal. And they need a number one receiver now that Michael Thomas is out. But Desean Jackson, as terrible as it sounds, is the best thing that could have come out of the Henry Ruggs situation.
I could see that.
I mean, bro, you lost your deep threat. And now Henry Ruggs does have the hops too. So that's one thing that I know Desean Jackson won't have. But Desean Jackson has better trackability on balls on the long ball. And he has the ability to create separation and get open. not necessarily with his speed, but with his route running. So, like I said, you're getting a veteran Henry Ruggs. Maybe he's not the one to jump out of a basketball arena, like Henry Ruggs was able to. But I mean, the speed element is absolutely there. And I think this is the best thing that could have come from, the Henry Ruggs situation. So I know that there was another cat that we just did sign to the practice squad, which, I mean, it's not really anything crazy. And let me just confirm here. I think his name is Jeff Bidet, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just confirm here.
I'm trying to look it up myself.
Which his last name is really weird, but let's see. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to check this out real quick here. Did you find it?
There's the Raiders 2020 draft class.
Yeah, I believe it was a guy named Bidet. Let's see here. Yeah, and he's another.
Was he a wide receiver?
Yeah, he was another speed guy from Oklahoma, and he runs a 4.27. Now they signed up to the practice squad, and the thing is, again, it's not something that you're like, oh my God, this guy is going to be the next big thing. But it's like we have somebody now for a speed element that we needed with that type of speed, with the 4.27 speed. So, I mean, that's something that you should, just take into consideration when it comes to, just having that extra person on there where it's like, okay, yeah. So they are
Jeff Bat. I don't know if it's Jeff Badgett.
Yeah, Jeff. No, that's how you say it. He's from Oklahoma. Yeah. And the thing is, it's only his third year, I think, in the league. But at the same time, he is somebody who, they want that speed element. So at the end of the day, it's just nice to see that the Raiders are focusing in on one specific part of the offense that they see was missing, because, it was an opportunity for us for sure. But, I don't know what's going to happen as far as Richie Incognito coming back. I don't even know if he's going to come back this year. I hope he does, because we definitely need him on the line. But, we'll see what happens. Trayvon Mullen is still due to come back. Nicholas Morrow is still due to come back. And I guess the last thing I just want to wrap up with saying is I couldn't be more happy that Damon Arnett is off the squad.
That was bad.
Just the things that, it's like, it's not something that the team needs with all the news that we've been in for the bad, with John Gruden to start, then Henry Ruggs, and then you got him waving guns and stuff and threatening to kill someone. Like, hey, listen, man, like, you're in the military. I was in the military. We understand about death and how serious it is when people start flashing guns, and just like the mindset and what you train for. So like, for me, I'm just like, this guy's just being, a wild young boy, and he's just not doing the right thing on social media. So it was the right thing to do with removing him from the team, because of all the negative media attention and just the precedent that they want to put forward, with the direction of what this team is. And I'm not going to lie, man. I'll be the first to say it. I think it did affect the Raiders with the Henry Ruggs situation and then Damon Arnett.
Yeah.
Because it's like, at the end of the day, they're human beings. They're not robots. So for you to just go on and continue and play a game without having any of that noise, I know they're a big, preacher about, we got a job to do and this and that. But at the end of the day, it's going to affect people. Those are your brothers in the locker room, whether you're close with them or not. But I really see this next game that we go into as something that we're really going to come out and bounce back from. especially how that ended, because even on a bad day, we still were only a touchdown away. So,
Yeah.
what are your last thoughts just about Damon Arnett? And we'll just wrap up from there.
Just really immature. I think that, these guys have a difficult life. I know they're rich, but they have a difficult life. People talking shit to them all day, social media platforms out there, trying to get the stock up. People want to know what's going on with these guys. They want to be role models and whatnot, but the way to respond that he did was completely childish. It was completely uncalled for. I remember you sent it to me right away. And then like 2 days later, they released him, right? It was news. So to me, you don't need that. You had the Henry Ruggs deal. You have the John Gruden deal. Cut bait with whatever you have that's going to bring any kind of negative vibes to your squad. And I'm glad that they did that, because they're showing that they're not tolerating any bullshit. So as far as I'm concerned, good move. You could find another guy, good talent, but you don't need that kind of disruption to your squad.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think the thing is now is just being focused on the end result. We can still get to the playoffs. I know people are starting to hit the panic button, talking about, oh, the collapse is coming back again.
No.
The thing is everything is still in front of us. We're at 5-3. I mean, we're focused on this Chiefs game, and that's really the only thing that we have to get focused on at this point. So we brought in some help. We made some roster moves. There's some people who are activated on the active roster now who are on the practice squad. Notably, what I'm seeing right now is Jackson Barton, I believe, and, who was it? Kendall Vickers, I told you, and then Malcolm Kuntz now as well is probably going to be on the active roster and hopefully be playing. So, at this point, definitely do appreciate everyone watching. Please like, subscribe, continue to share the videos. Sorry for the little bit of inconsistency in the last couple of weeks as far as putting up the video. I know our pregame kind of got put out a little late just because mine and my brother's schedules are a little different now. He works more towards the mornings. I'm more towards the night, but we'll get this thing back going on the right track and give you plenty of time so you guys could check this stuff out. We definitely appreciate Raidernation. Please continue to help support the channel and grow. Again, we don't spend any money on advertising. I know a lot of content creators, they put money into Google AdWords. We're doing this all organically by word of mouth just to help the channel grow. Any last thoughts, man, before I just kind of wrap up?
No, man, just look forward to coming back next week. Let's put another cast out. Really appreciate the support. Like I said, just send us any information that you want us to talk about. Always helpful, and appreciate everybody's support.
Yeah, interact down in the comments too. I post mine and my brother's Twitter, so if you want to interact with us on there too, I'm always pretty active on there, no matter what. So is my brother. So just with that, thanks again for tuning in to the Rican Brothers Raidernation podcast. We'll go ahead and get the pregame probably done on Friday, if that's good with you, man. I don't know if that'll work, and we'll try to get it done this way. It's up this way. You have Saturday and all day Sunday to review, just kind of on our predictions. But yeah, we appreciate you spending some time with us here, everyone. Shouts out to Raidernation again. Thanks again for tuning in to the Rican Brothers Raidernation podcast. Take it easy.